So we've understood about encoding and serialization. Now we want to look at something called as hashing, which is very much confused with cryptography. And the way this works is quite interesting. So let's say you have some input and you get this hash. And right now I'm using something called as SHA-256 algorithm. What happens with this is no matter how long the input text is, what you realize is that the hash is always the same length. So it's the same length for just one letter and is the same length for infinite number of letters, right? It doesn't change. The length always remains the same. What that means is that you can't take this hash and arrive back to the input. That's mathematically impossible because how can you do that? If you have just one letter, it also has the similar length, same length. If you have a lot of words, a lot of letters, it also has the same length. That obviously means that if you have to take this output hash and try to convert that or bring back the input, it's mathematically impossible. Okay. So why is it used? Then why is hashing important? Why would you need it? Okay. So first thing to know is that hashing also is not encryption. Okay. So we've already clarified that encoding is not encryption, serialization is not encryption. And now in this video, we're saying that even hashing is not encryption. I want to take a quick minute to tell you something very important. I'm sure you know that CTOs don't write a lot of code. So what do they actually do during the day? They actually work on system design and architecting systems. And not just CTOs, but anyone in a leadership positions like VP of engineering, director, they're all involved with planning and architecting systems. Now, directors and VPs are also delivery side where they have to manage people, but they're also technical VPs and directors. If you're someone who has experience in the industry and you see yourself moving up on the technical ladder, becoming someone who's responsible for orchestrating and architecting systems and not necessarily people management, then I have the perfect cohort program for you. It's a 3-month advanced system design cohort. 20 people have already joined it. Everyone has a lot of experience. Some of them have even 25 years of experience. It's a great community for you to come and hang out. If you think you're a good fit, there's a link in the comments and in the description of this video. Fill it up. We'll check if you're a great fit and we'll set up some time with you. Now let's get back to the video. Okay. It just converts input into a fixed length string, which is the hash. And the important thing to note here is that this is just a one-way function. So I told you that you can only get from the input to the output. You can't take the output, get back to the input. Okay. So what's the purpose? Why do you want to use it? The purpose is just integrity verification. Okay. And if you've worked with blockchains, right, even a little bit, you know that this is used heavily because blockchains have multiple nodes that maintain the entire blockchain. And then they have to come to a consensus with the next or the newest state changes. And to come to a consensus, they have to prove some match to each other saying that, hey, we have also come to this same mathematical hash. And that's why we're all on the same page and we can reach the consensus. So no matter how much the data is, which I showed you, right? Even if it's just one letter or like thousands of letters, the output will be the same length. And just the output is what matters for the verification part. So you just need the output. And so independent different parties, like let's say nodes in a blockchain, they apply some maths. And firstly, they've already agreed on the hashing function that they'll use or the hashing methodology that they'll use. For example, SHA-256 or SHA-512. I showed you the SHA-256 in this case, right? They've already agreed upon that. They already run those functions, come up with the output. And the output is the one that matters for the verification part. And I also showed you that you can't really get back the original information from the created hash. So that means it's hard to reverse, hard to forge. It's very difficult for an attacker who's entering into the network to forge the output. And this means that's great as a basis of verification between two parties. The two parties need not trust each other. And hence, this forms the basis of zero trust. So you've heard about this concept called as zero trust that's being implemented in cloud networks across the world in many enterprises. This kind of forms the basis of zero trust. And also for the zero knowledge proofs, like two parties talking to each other without having a lot of knowledge about each other. That's how zero knowledge proofs work. And this also forms the basis for this. So now the thing is, hashing is very easy to confuse with checksum. Okay. Now checksum again is not encryption. This is easy to confuse with checksum. This is why the next video will be about checksum. So I hope now we're very clear on hashing, and in the previous videos we were clear on encoding and serialization. If you're not clear, you can watch those again. And now we're slowly building our way up to what encryption is. And the way to do that is first not knowing what encryption is not. And this is how Greek philosophers, right, they explain the process, which is learning is very similar to sculpture. Like you remove away all the things that are not needed, and then you end up with the sculpture of the body, let's say, of a Greek god or something like that. All right, so let's get to the next video.